Hello, this is Yvette Francino, and we are on the 10th and final key to happiness this week in season 3. We're talking to Shirley Rivera about meaning, and I am so excited to have Shirley here. Another kind of theme I had this season was to talk to people that I'd met virtually, and even though I didn't meet Shirley virtually during these COVID times, I met her virtually about 10 years ago through my friend Craig, which is the whole beginnings of Carpe Diem Connections. Was from, I had written about the loss of Craig and my feelings. He had ALS, and Shirley read that blog post, and she just was so compassionate and so friendly, and we started commenting on each other's blog. We started to get to know each other more. And when I went to San Francisco, I went and visited her, and we have since become friends, even though she lives in San Francisco and I live in Colorado. We have connected on in different kinds of projects and events. She's done improv, just a very talented, multi-talented woman. And I am so happy to have her with us today to tell us about her latest project that involves Ikigai, which is you'll learn all about on this podcast. And so I'm going to just hand it over to you, Shirley. Tell us more about you and what you're working on.
Yvette, thank you so much. And so before I start telling you what I work on, I want to say to the folks that are listening that Yvette I consider you a friend, and your energy is just amazing. It's very fun, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of the Carpe Diem Connections. So anyway, we could go on. I know that we've talked about this.
And we have a big love fest. One of our blog posts is like, thank you, no, thank you. We just went back and forth because
it really was.
mutual. We're soul sisters in many ways. So.
Well, I'll share a little bit about me, sort of starting from now and then going backwards. And just to give folks an idea that my educational background is as a chemical engineer. Fast forward back and got out of college back in the mid 80s. And fast forward, part of what I also do now with regards to consulting in the field that I've been in involves improv, and involves coaching. And so what I'm doing now about my new project, if you will, I just finished up in February the Ikigai Tribe Coaching Program. So I am a certified Ikigai Tribe Coach, and tethered onto that, sort of starting again to go backwards, is that, and this is still stuff I do, I also do improv, and I do what's called applied improv. So it's taking the improv philosophies, practices, and the like, and bringing them out into applying it in your real life. And so I've had that where I've approaching it from what I'm calling colorized improv. So I'm also looking at helping people in training and incorporating improv within the space of equity, representation, and diversity. I am a tiny habits coach. So that is part of the behavior design work that I do. And that I came all across in sort of improv and habits all in like 2012. They started to come together and converge. And I say that because for the most part, improv came into my life at that time where I was sort of looking for, something to do and just thinking about change in life, which what improv allows very fluidly. Not that I didn't like my consulting engineering realm, but I still do energy, air quality consulting. And I have found a way to integrate my technical, social, and cultural skills that are associated with all the things I learned. It might sound like a big mishmash. I guess there's a term multi-potentialite or multi-passionate, polymath. I think there's just definitely ways to find, how to integrate what might sound like a hobby, like improv sounded like a hobby. Because like, oh, wait, no, there's this actual, profession where how fun is it that I could do this craft that I love? It's great, I make money, but if not, I get to do improv. There we go, and I'd say that in short, I consult in the technical areas as well as the social and cultural areas. And I am going to be coaching. I coach as a Tiny Habits coach, and I will begin coaching for Ikigai. And I guess to some extent, like a facilitator or trainer in sort of those areas. I'm almost like the bridge, just because I'm bridging technical and social, social and cultural, technical and cultural. So does that make sense? Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'm an agile coach, and that also is somewhat of a bridge between technical and social and cultural. There's a lot of philosophies there that have to do with happiness. And again, that's one of the things, another of our commonalities there, I think, is having that interest in how those things work together. But let's focus specifically on the Ikigai, and tell us more about what that means. What is Ikigai?
Well, Ikigai is a Japanese word. So sort of translated, it is like a sense of purpose or a sense of meaning. And it's involves also service to others. And probably the best way I can do this is to sort of honor the culture where Ikigai exists and is from. So I'm going to go ahead and share some quotes from folks and give some context. So one of them is a professor, Akihiro Hasegawa, and he describes Ikigai as, in Japan, the word Ikigai is used in our daily lives and in our usual conversations. It's considered that Ikigai is a sense of being alive now and an individual's consciousness as a motive to live. Ikigai is the way your mind works to integrate the two aspects of Ikigai, one being the object of Ikigai and the other being the feeling of Ikigai. So Professor Hasegawa is actually continues to do research in that area as well. Ikigai is part of his area of research. Sort of maybe another way, there's a neuroscientist also who, I'll get to him a little bit later because I want to talk, I'm going to do something, let me do this. Michiko Kumano, Japanese well-being should be comprehended in terms of Ikigai, which is an aspect of daily conversation in Japan. So it's, it's a regular word, Yvette. And in general, people in Japan are always conscious of Ikigai as a common concept and word that they want to live their lives feeling Ikigai. So it's deeply associated with the quality of life in Japan. And then I'm going to just share a one-sentence description from Gordon Matthews that I do like. And it may resonate, quite well. I'm sitting here looking. Thank you for your patience. Yeah. Ikigai is not the end, but the beginning of the pursuit of a life worth living.
Yeah. Sounds very much like what I describe as the Carpe Diem mindset. So a lot of overlap there with the whole Carpe Diem idea, at least in my mind. And certainly the mantra that I'm pursuing or trying to promote for people. And if you looked up Ikigai in a Japanese translation dictionary or whatever, is there one word that it closest relates in the English language? I know it's more than one word. It sounds like it's kind of a deep feeling, but what do you think it's closest to as far as the word would go?
Perhaps it's a sense of being, sense of being alive. And it is a life philosophy. So you are right. It's not just this word means, one word in a target.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like it's a feeling and one that you are content with and have at peace with your life. And I know I've heard it, or I sort of think of it as purpose. What is you feel like you have a purpose and meaning in your life. And and I know a lot of people search for that. I know that Viktor Frankl's book, The Search for Meaning, I think is what his book is called. And often, you know, in my whole Carpe Diem studies here is when I try to find books that are talking about what does Carpe Diem mean? What would be the process to live a Carpe Diem life? I mean, it kind of starts with this concept that sounds like what Ikigai is, of kind of trying to understand your purpose or meaning and this will and of being alive, having a motivation. And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I mean, is that true? You have been, you know, to the classes and are a coach. So am I describing that correctly, or is there something in there that is?
You are. I'd say that's part of the quilt, if you will. So it, you know, in the understanding of your purpose, it's that having that sense of purpose, having that sense of meaning, and really sort of another key element of that. And I think this is close to the agile work that you do. It's also service to others.
Yeah.
You know, so part.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have that. And yeah. I think that that's part of what brings us, it brings us a purpose, is feeling valued, or having value to someone else, and figuring out what your value is and how you can do, you know, use that in our world and with others. And you know, that sometimes can become your purpose, is having that. Now, when you, as a coach, as an Ikigai coach, do you help people that are struggling with that feeling like they don't know what they're, you know, they don't feel like they have this Ikigai and they want to have it? And do you help them discover their Ikigai?
Yes. So the answer is yes. And I would say, both as coach and perhaps as facilitator, and is going through sort of the landscape of the pieces in the sense of Ikigai, what, you know, what is part of also sense of fulfillment, you know, examining the different things that have happened in your life in the past, looking at your present, and, you know, coaching folks to also start to, I'll say, reflect on their experience, reflect on where they're at. And, you know, it's a personal experience. So, you know, I will be, you know, full disclosure, I hope, I intend to have my first cohort in May. And, you know, I definitely am looking forward to it. So while I'm saying this to you, I guess I'm also explaining to you, you know, the experience I had in articulating my Ikigai, and amongst the other 7 coaches in training that did that. It's a series of, you know, I'll be doing a series of personal reflections, you know, tethering it, some of it to the habit related work that I have. In fact, one of the other folks who, and he's quite a fun on YouTube and on Twitter, Ken Mogi, is a neuroscientist, and Ikigai as well is something that he incorporates and defines. And his is a little bit different from what I shared with you of the other ones, is that, and I'll just say this now, it's the reason you get up in the morning. It could be something very small, like having a cup of coffee and a chocolate, and it's something that makes your day go on. That's Ikigai. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I know, you know, I don't want to get into a full workshop on me, but I'll tell you something that, you know, we shared earlier, and I've shared in other podcast episodes around purpose. For me, well, for example, one of the things that brought me the most joy and purpose was raising my children. I you know, and now they're grown and independent. And so tell me if this is true. The Ikigai doesn't go away just because my children are grown, but I can use that what I got out of that sense of being nurturing and caring and wanting to, you know, honestly, a lot of things that I liked when they were small children, celebrating with, you know, parties and decorations that, again, may not be appropriate now that they're adults, but I still get joy out of it. Is that here where I can still say that you kind of get to the root of what it was that I loved about being a mother? And just because my children are grown, I can still use those aspects of my personality to bring joy to myself and others. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is accurate. It's a very good example. And in fact, just to put it in perspective for Ikigai, your children are a source of Ikigai. So that's actually Ikigai Kan is what the description would be. And so you can have, these sources, these objects around you. I mean, you brought up a point, which is really good. We do have different roles in life, not just sequentially, it's multiple roles at different times, at different trajectories, different intensities. And I love what you also shared. I'm going to pick a word that just like popped out for me is the joy. You are a person who, no one would argue about whether or not you experience joy in life. You are a person who does it. And not only do you experience it, seek it, but you exude it and you bring it to other people. And so that I am certain that is, that is part of your Ikigai. And then there's sort of like, where does that sort of represent itself? So, yes, yes. The
Well,
answer.
thank you. What a supreme compliment. I love to hear that. And so I think the other thing that I know I've noticed, because I'm very interested in personality, and I know we can, there are all kinds of different frameworks that tell you your personality. But I know what I've noticed for myself, I don't know if this is because I'm this personality, that I often can change, and I have changed my personality over the years. When I was young, I was extremely introverted, and people now can't believe that because I do crazy things. But it does come out, and like we've talked about how I get stage fright if I'm performing on stage. Like if I were to do improv on stage again, that's like would be I know I would just be shaking, and I'd be so have so much trouble because of my stage fright. And I do think that comes sort of from my natural introversion, but I also like to kind of push myself out of my comfort zone and do things to gain confidence. And then the things that scared me a lot when I was younger often don't anymore. And it helps me feel like I grow and that my personality can change a little bit. So similarly, I bring that up because I'm wondering if that can be similar with Ikigai, that, that maybe we haven't even discovered this source of, again, there are things I know that I can look at my experiences from the past and know I got a lot of joy and meaning, and I couldn't wait to get up for a certain reason. When I was working and the various different jobs I've had, there were some of them that I just was super, super excited about. And now I sort of feel, I wouldn't want to go back and do that again. Because I'm just at a different stage of life, or maybe my personality has changed a little bit. So is that something when you are learning about Ikigai or helping other people, could it be that there is something we haven't even discovered yet? Do you help to kind of have some people discover maybe new sources of Ikigai?
I don't know. I haven't had that experience directly, and I need to talk to, my tribe. I will say the following, though, in my experience of our group having shared, those moments in life. So I'm going to put my engineering hat on. You're going through life. You start off here, you're going through life, this sort of wiggly thing. And then there's this thing that happens. It's like a node.
Yeah.
So I'm putting my little engineering thing on, and then there's that space in between, if you will, of some path, this thing, and then something else emerges from it, and then something else happens. And for me, at least, I imagine and I intend to help folks look at the temporal nature of their experience, in life, through exercise, and actually discover their values, or really better stated, be able to articulate them. Many times people, we're all saying, oh, these are my values and this and that. Again, there are also likewise a lot of surveys and tests out there that do this. And having said that, using values as a foundation and then sort of exploring what has happened, there's a lot to be said about choices you've made and also ways that you reacted to unexpected events in your life and what that through line is. I like to call it the skewer. Like if you have a shish kebab, you've kind of got the, sort of little pieces of life there. And, what does that flavor look like, if you will, at the end? What is it that you have? And so I'd say, I'm thinking out this loud. So thank you for your patience of this. Yeah, sure. I believe I will be, helping people discover what their skewered shish kebab looks like through.
Well, I know as a coach, and again, a different kind of coach, but one of the things that I do as a coach is help kind of give people a safety net of pushing them out of their comfort zone a little bit. But I guess, again, they have to know if they want to go out of their comfort zone. It depends on the situation, of course, but for me, I'm a person that really loves growth. So even the thing about improv, I mean, just the fact that I'm so scared of it means probably someday I will do it, just because I don't like being scared of anything. I don't like when I'm doing it because it's not comfortable. That is the whole getting out of your comfort zone. But having mastered it, having done something I was scared of and recognizing I did it is a huge feeling. That's probably an Ikigai thing for me.
Yes.
And but you have to have the safety. I mean, I'm not going to go climb Mount Everest because it scares me without doing a lot of smaller mountain climbing things that I get joy from. And so I think you just take those baby steps out of your comfort zone. Again, for someone like me, I would like doing that because that just feels like growth to me, which is great. And, I did this whole 60 goals leading up to my 60th birthday. And the one that was the most scary for me, everyone thinks, again, it was a lot of crazy things, or like jumping out of an airplane or bungee jumping or all these really adrenaline kind of activities, which I had done a lot of those as a younger person. But the scariest one for me was being on stage, and I sang solo on stage. And it was that, again, like improv was a super, I was so nervous about it. But I did it. And it was probably, again, one of my most memorable times of the year of doing that. And so again, I think as far as, I wouldn't say like singing is an Ikigai thing, but it was the whole doing something new and a challenge that that I was scared of, and I did it anyway. Is it, that's something that really excites me. So.
Yeah. And I, so just thinking out loud when you're saying that, I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. So if we were having an opportunity to, talk about this, I'd be like, oh, let's, think about these other moments. And I want to say one of the things that I am excited about is, also bringing not just my habits related experience, but my improv experience. And part of what I've learned, even doing my habit coaching for folks, where these people are, folks are looking to make some behavioral changes in their life, right? They've got these aspirations of, well-being and health, or maybe writing a book, playing an instrument, and it can feel daunting. And so it's really fun to know that I can draw from this little pool of improv goodie bag and exercises and use those as part of other ways to present kind of a mindset of fun and playfulness.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, I'll just say, when I hear you say about the 60 things, you frame something with a future, so you're taking action to moving forward toward that. And it's fun, you're acknowledging sort of this temporal nature of your life. And, it may be, part of your Ikigai, because it shows up quite often. And it's just, yeah, you're right. We met in 2010 virtually, and then, in person on a couple of occasions, is again, just this kind of community of folks coming together. The nth degree of Yvette, and sort of that energy exchange. There's a lot that you've done, because I've popped up in your life also when you're doing those things, and this may be sort of part of that service to others as well, because I'm sure that was very joyful for other people to receive. It's a gift that you're also giving other folks, this singing.
I know. Yeah, I don't know that I would describe it as I'm giving them a gift. To me, the audience, I mean, it was our friends and family that came, and I was so grateful for the friends who did come and cheered me on. And it's funny, again, it was just that support of, and I mean, I wasn't terrible, but I wasn't like, the quality that you usually would hear from someone singing on stage. So, but again, I think it was just doing it and having the support, having people there. And, and again, we don't have to get into an analysis of me, but just trying to understand again that, because I think often, I know I've felt this myself, I think of when I'm trying to find my purpose, it feels like it is a particular skill or something that some people just try to continue building on that skill so that they can provide that to the world. And then I think I'm of the type, and I know a lot of other people are too, is that we like to dabble in a lot of different things. We're more jack of all trades, although we do have certain things, all of us have certain unique qualities and talents and things that, like, again, I guess are that Ikigai. But a lot of times it seems like, this was my point in the whole, it's not the singing as much as the conquering a challenge that was really motivating for me there. I do love to sing, but I am not, that didn't make me feel like, oh, I can be a Broadway performer, and if I just keep practicing and practicing, I'll be a really good singer. It just made me more think, if I want to do it, I can do it. I can do what I want to do. Maybe not as talented as that will make me any money, or that will, win me any awards or anything, but I can, and that is just, again, maybe that is a key Ikigai thing that really, I think, originated from my friend Craig when he lost all his function and couldn't talk, and yet he still kept adapting to figure out ways to continue to bring joy to people. And it's such a huge lesson to me, and that is one of the things that I do have such passion around, is that, never say you can't do something. We just figure out how you can do it, the why behind why you want to do it, and get your people and your community, and together you will do what you want to do. I think that is a message that I think of for myself, and that I would like to, get out into the world. So it's that, I guess, perseverance and resilience and tenacity that I just really respect. And so that is, I guess, part of my Ikigai.
Yeah, and you said it so lovely. I mean, it is convergence, if you will, of several of the things you mentioned. I'll continue to reemphasize the sense of purpose, the values. You were very clear in saying perseverance, or these different things that probably are through lines in your life as well, that represent these core values that you have. The sense of meaning, this continuing to look to experience sort of, what else there is, serving, other people, considering what are you doing to have that sense, that feeling. And in some cases it shows up, right? and I think, quite a bit of, when I hear you speak, it's sort of reminds me of just, that going back to, that sense of being, being present as to where you're at, and also knowing that, because of your values, you have this opportunity, it's present, to step into creating the environment, experiencing activities, responding to what maybe shows up that feels, and that you have that sense, this ikigai in your life. And like Ken Mogi says, it could be just a small thing. The broader landscape, from what you were talking about, is this sort of narrative that we have in our life, what we tell ourselves and sort of hone in on. And I think part of that is, I almost feel like Ikigai can help discovering one's Ikigai is sort of knitting together, your narrative, and then sort of stepping back and really starting to understand a little bit more about that sense. Yes, you're right about, people, we have these skills, so we're going to, I'm going to use my skill, and now I'm going to use it again here. And yeah, it contributes to, who you are as a person, your role there, and it's part of this bigger way that you're showing up as a human being. I know I hope it's not like a broken record, but you asked about, is there that one word? It's like, okay, I guess maybe if we think about the words that we're thinking of, let's put the word in front of its sense of, that sense of purpose. So now what are you doing around that sense of meaning, that sense of being alive, of fulfillment.
Yeah, fulfillment.
And I know I know we have only a certain amount of time, the idea of, I know you're into positive psychology. So, I think I was listening to one of your other podcasts, and yeah, maybe you don't have to always be in the positive mode. There's other things that happen, and I think you sort of acknowledge a certain interesting way, and I'm not doing it justice. I can't remember exactly which podcast it was, but I really enjoyed, hearing you talk about that, because Ikigai, I'll just say, as a, for instance, part of my Ikigai kind of stems from a frustration. Oh, I'm going to start getting tears. A frustration of what I see in the environmental field. I've worked most of my time in the industrial side, and on the regulatory side. And I believe in environmental protection. The stakeholders, if you will, the public that's impacted, environmental justice areas that are disproportionately impacted. It's something that I didn't realize until, and I can sort of put my finger on it in the early 90s, that I really felt like, wow, I have the privilege, if you will, to be in part of this space. And, what came up for me, for my Ikigai, is sort of being this bridge or connector to those communities, and probably even more so people like myself who are in the environmental protection field in a business setting. Imagine us needing to be able to express this, and serve environmental protection. And, work is tough. There's a lot of other different decisions and choices that we make, but I know that I have a certain value system. I have a strong belief system. Connectedness is, one of my top Gallup Clifton strengths in my theme. Yeah. And, it's sort of like starting to put together these little Lego pieces of my life, and going, hey, I'm going to honor this, and I'm going to serve this. And it excites me to see that I know that I have this lens in life where I can hone in on this thing, step back, hone in, but I have this.
Yeah. Well, that is just amazing stuff. And it really does, it really does make us think and recognize our own unique self and how we can just hone in on those passions and find fulfillment and make a difference in the world. And, I would say that is so key to happiness and meaning on life in life. So thank you so much, Shirley, for everything, for helping our audience again kind of become more familiar with Ikigai and what you do. How can people find you?
People can find me a couple ways. I am on Instagram at Shirley F Rivera. Mm-hmm. And then I have a website, shirleyfrivera.com. And I know you'll be putting show notes
on the blog and show notes, yeah.
So I gave you those two because maybe those are the two that I'm most active on. I sort of took a social media diet. And I am on Twitter, a mouthful, Anthro-Cubology. So I'll just make sure I send that.
All those in the notes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Shirley. I so appreciate you being here. You were the perfect guest for this very important episode. And I'm sure I will see you maybe on the improv stage or for both of us. Maybe we'll do it together sometime.
Maybe we will do Zoom-prov.
Oh, that's intimidating for me. We can almost call this Zoom-prov. Check that one out.
Get it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Shirley. Bye-bye.